welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Yellen's economics correspondent. Each week, I dive into the morass of top economic news stories and fish out compelling narratives, or I retrieve fallacies that have been accepted as conventional wisdom by the swamp creatures for years. This week, Joe Biden's ties to Wall Street and blank check companies. In the final weeks of the 2020 presidential election, data from the Nonpartisan Center for Responsive Politics showed that Wall Street contributed more than $74 million to Joe Biden's election campaign. This was more than the $20 million President Donald Trump received in 2016, and it was more than what Barack Obama raised during both campaigns in 2008 and 2012. It was, however, short of the $87 million Hillary Clinton got from stock market junkies. And now we know why the crusty old dude and Johnny Wall Street donated millions to Biden. In June 2019, Joe Biden appeared in a ritzy New York fundraiser that involved affluent donors. During this powwow of heavy hitters, he informed that, quote, "No one's standard of living will change, nothing would fundamentally change." In other words, it would be as business as usual with Biden at the helm. The latest appointments show exactly what he meant. First, let's set this up. Liberty Nation recently reported that one of the biggest trends in the financial markets today has been the Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or SPAC. These are so-called blank check companies that only exist to raise capital through an initial public offering, or IPO, and acquire an existing company. Pine Island Acquisition Company is one of these shell entities, and it is directly affiliated with the investment firm Pine Island Capital Partners. So, what does this have to do with Joe Biden? The office of the president-elect tapped Tony Blinken and retired General Lloyd Austin to join the Biden administration. Blinken would serve as Secretary of State, and Austin would act as the Secretary of Defense. Pine Island's team includes both Blinken and Austin. Before the 2020 presidential election, Pine Island submitted a prospectus to the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, writing, quote, "We believe that with our access, network, and expertise, we are well suited to take advantage of the current and future opportunities present in the aerospace, defense, and government services industries." End quote. Austin's name was listed in the SPAC proposal, but Blinken's name was removed since he took a leave of absence from the company to join the Biden campaign. Still, it is rather interesting that Pine Island raised more than $218 million on the open market. It should also be pointed out that Michelle Flournoy is one of Pine Island's DC partners. Flournoy was touted as a potential Pentagon chief before Biden picked Austin. Pine Island also has two other DC partners, Krisha Marshall and Dick Gephardt. Marshall served in the Obama administration, while Gephardt was a former Democratic House Majority Leader. So far, it's a merry band of Democrats. The Biden transition team has attempted to put the kibosh on the idea that his administration will be some type of revolving door between Wall Street and Washington. They know that Austin and Blinken plan to divest from Pine Island. But what happens after 4 years and they return to the firm? That is usually the status quo. Ultimately, it is a case of too little, too late. The foul stench of cronyism has already tainted the path to Inauguration Day. But for now, back to these blank check companies for a moment. The SPAC market is not new, but its 2020 momentum is comparable to what transpired in 2007 before the Great Recession. It has morphed into a $22 billion industry, and everyone is trying to grab a slice of the humongous pie. All of this is possible because of the easy money flowing through the veins of Wall Street. Interest rates are at historic lows, the Federal Reserve is maintaining its unlimited quantitative easing program, and the US Central Bank's chief mantra now is to prevent another financial crisis akin to what unfolded during the March bloodbath, thanks to the coronavirus. SPACs are a sure thing until the bubble deflates and the printing press stops running. So, is it a coincidence that Joe Biden chose Janet Yellen, the former head of the Federal Reserve, to be his Treasury Secretary? As Liberty Nation recently reported, the Fed and the Treasury Department will forge a close alliance in 2021 because of the cash balance the Treasury possesses and how much the Federal Reserve is monetizing the debt and the federal deficits. This means that the Treasury General Account has a net supply of cash available at its disposal to do whatever it wants at any time for the next 8 months. The United States faces a debt ceiling in August 2021. leading to a TGA drawdown to cover T-bill payments. And of course, knowing the government, there will be a bipartisan campaign to kick the can down the road. So this is important to note because it suggests the recklessness abandon of accounting principles. Everything is interconnected in the swamp. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column where I discuss global food inflation, the United States government's record budget deficits, and the burning of the shorts. Thank you.
Go deeper on the topic discussed in this video, head on over to one of these links here or go to our Liberty Nation Roku channel. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for Liberty.